Down potential between Vi and LeBlanc. I understand why PoE would go with Ahri there, almost a defensive mid lane pick. Even with 3 dashes though, the lockdown potential of Vi LeBlanc combined with Burst can still threaten kills on mid. So you can definitely see what FlyQuest want to do in this game.
Definitely keeping their eyes on those single targets. So you're noting how FlyQuest want to lock on those points of power. What about IMT's side? How are you feeling of their chances with this team fight composition that they've brought through?
They want to go late. They do not want to get ran over in the early game. It's importantly for FlyQuest, they are guaranteed making at least a little bit of time in the playoffs, but Immortals, if they do not do well in these next 2 games and Golden Guardians is able to pick up a win, Immortals would fall out of playoffs. So very much playing for their season in this one.
And on the FlyQuest side, JOSEDEODO and all of FlyQuest do refuse to settle for anything but the best. Let's take a listen.
For me, being top 4 is good, you know, compared to last year and that split, but I wouldn't be satisfied. Last time I was in Worlds was in 2020. It was a really fun experience. I enjoyed it a lot. You know a lot of players, you learn a lot from other good teams. So it's really, I think for rookies like Philip, it's really a nice experience, you know. So I would like to go Worlds again.
I remember watching JOSEDEODO in those Worlds performances. A lot of players that you can really latch onto if they do find those W's on the Rift.
Absolutely, and you can see Ignar trying to play very aggressively. The early trading here and who can get level 2 first, so important, but also a very quick gank by Kenvi in top lane.
And Kenvi loves to play aggressive in the times that are brought into light, and that's what he's doing right now, directly on Philip, who wants to execute the patience, wants to hold on to his summoners. Last second, has the flash away. He's under the turret. Kenvi drags his life, grabs first blood.
If that doesn't get the kill, it's such a disaster, but they clutch it out. They really don't get that much out of it though, because he's put behind his jungle so quickly. Jose immediately realizes he hasn't gone for Raptors, so he's going to counter jungle those away for nothing. But it's still a great result for Philip regardless, and a really difficult thing, I think, for Kenvi to bounce back from in terms of all the time he lost in his early jungle.
I do commend Philip's choice to try and hold on to that flash as long as possible in that moment right now. Also making sure to place a deeper ward so he can keep eyes on if Kenvi wants to punish the absence of that flash. But JOSEDEODO running into Kenvi
safe.
Right over here at Scuttle. TUKI's already made his rotation over, as well as Power of Evil looking to clone over the wall. Rejoined by Revenge. TUKI flashes forward, gets him with the chains, and FlyQuest answer that engage.
Philip's Q over the wall there to allow TUKI to get back in range of the Blanc apps, because JOSEDEODO is not sitting on any extra items, and yes, he does get pushed off.
Backs away, doesn't want to take it or be too greedy here. Starting to path back up over towards this top side, warding in the favor of FlyQuest. Revenge, does he respect it or not? Starts to slam on to Philip, coming on in, slamming on up with the bias here. Baby, slaughter that pig.
Maybe he just never goes back to base. Maybe he just continues to stay on the Rift and kill people.
Kenvi also intruding upon FlyQuest jungle. When you have that intel of where the plays just went down, it opens up some of that farming opportunity for Immortals side. Power of Evil having to heal up.
Power spike they're going to have to be very cautious of is when Lucian and Nami get their mythic items. And I am not a fan of that force by Kenvi. I think Immortals wants to stall this game. There's no way he can finish that Herald himself.
A blast cone over the wall to start it up, but there is a ward in favor of FlyQuest here, so they knew he came through. They knew that he's off of it. Power of Evil getting focused, but has Ignar here for that additional level of protection, which means we've officially started to crack open from that bot lane restriction where most of the earlier portions, both teams were just residing there nice and comfortably, farming up, and now you have to worry about that roaming threat.
Yeah, that was just an illegal Rift Herald by Kenvi at the time, because Lost hadn't even rotated up. But now Nami has shown bot, and the Rift Herald still isn't dead. So we might have a fight around that Rift Herald. We'll see.
Calling just used by Johnson. All the attention on the top side. Rift Herald going down. JOSEDEODO is the one to pick it up. But some resources used here on the bot side.
Yeah, Culling traded for health. Whew. Nice little poke on Kenvi. Okay, they're back on the map with Vi. JOSEDEODO has Vi ultimate. I'm expecting him to try and get a fight bottom, because if they can get any type of kill, that's how they start blowing this game open. Rift Herald and a gank usually means about 4 plates.
Lots of flashes at the ready as well for both teams if they do want to aggress into a play. We saw that JOSEDEODO is here on the bot side. Lost going for it a bit, gets a good chunk on Johnson, throws him with the Moonlight Vigil for even more damage onto Johnson with this Lucian.
Whoa.
Into the back, ulted up on Power of Evil, who has to flash away. And they continue to go for the fight. JOSEDEODO over the wall. Immortals directly keeping their sights on to this dragon, starting to slam it down. No lives were lost, but they did get a lot of summoners and the ultimate out of the jungler here in JOSEDEODO, so Immortals feel confident in being able to take this.
Really positive play for Immortals here, being able to pick up this Mountain Dragon. It also makes it much more difficult for Vi LeBlanc to burst anyone in this game. An extra 9% armor and magic resistance on everybody. They're dropping the Herald mid.
Kenby is here to make sure that it's not a lonesome Herald with nobody from IMT to make sure to finish her off. So gets the single charge. We're still in that plate territory here at 11 minutes, so decent amount of gold that FlyQuest were able to accrue to try to continue bumping up little by little that gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're still up 2,000 gold. In a lot of ways, that is a win for them.
And Philip is going to be able to set off and try and take advantage of the resource being given, but down here on the bot side, Johnson throwing down the culling, gets polymorph in response. Lost laying down the law. Can he follow up? Good range for additional poke onto Aphromoo. That fish is mighty squishy in the beginning.
Yeah, heal and cleanse burn, but stop the recalls.
Yeah.
We did it.
Looking at them to be the aggressors, but Immortals have Kenby here on the bot side instead. Not sought out by that control ward just yet, lying in wait.
They're really thinking about going for a dive. PoE is here first.
Here, going for it. A charm onto one and the burn down onto Johnson and Aphromoo. Immortals with a clean takedown to FlyQuest bot lane.
Oh, this is so huge for them. So even though there will be an injection of gold going over to FlyQuest for that Rift Herald, it's so much more power for Immortals. They're going to be able to get first turret solo for Lost Aphelios and likely control of the Drake if they just peel back and take that now.
Lost is that late game threat, the one that FlyQuest want to target to make sure that he can't shift things against them. And seeing him get these injections of gold early is great news for Immortals.
It's going to be a question of how can he perform in team fights, because we mentioned earlier it is a difficult game for him to play against Vi LeBlanc. Jose really trying to make something happen top lane, though.
Revenge now the target of JOSEDEODO on the top side, using that ultimate to take him down. FlyQuest finds the opening to trade back towards Immortals.
Yeah, definitely a solid play there, although not really getting much out of it.
Dive in the bot side for FlyQuest. Wasn't really in a position on this top side to be able to continue that push on for a turret takedown. TUKI! He's going for a wild growth onto Power of Evil. The calling here answered with a tidal wave as well. Good jukes from PoE. Kenby falls.
Massive play there by FlyQuest in the mid lane. They need that next minion wave to arrive, though, so they can get the turret. The kill on Kenby is nice. But what can they do to advance the game off of this? Someone solo checks his turret so they can go for a kill, but PoE actually swept it out, so he's going to be able to take the safe route.
Great intel to grab here. We don't know where JOSEDEODO is. Let's try and find out so Immortals can take some more safe pathing. And now JOSEDEODO issued with a chance to come back here towards mid. Another lockdown onto Lost, who backs away. Teleport directly onto the turret. Johnson, one last hit from the turret. Well, do it. Ignar with the kill credit. Lots of sums expelled. But my, oh my, things are starting to get scrappy.
Yeah, things are definitely heating up in this one, but FlyQuest is right on the precipice of being able to break this game open. Almost got mid turret there. Did get top turret. Really hoping to be able to get a pick in the side lane here against PoE.
TUKI's going for it, rooted upon the entry, charmed in response, Spirit Rush activated, Power of Evil's going for it, sees if he can get the real one, doesn't finish off.
For TUKI, aside from the map pressure, because he gets ult and flash out of PoE, and now, maybe they can kill him.
Is looking at the Fox Lady, finding her, Power of Evil says, oh, there's two of us. One Aqua Prison just to get the final setup for the takedown.
5 or 10 minutes, because if they can use, basically they use this gold lead right now, they use probably the second completed item on Aatrox, and they're going to be extremely powerful. Like, this is actually the moment in the game they've been waiting for. They have Gale Force, they have Imperial Mandate, and they're going to have item leads on both of these players. So if they can really make advantage of these next 5 or 10 minutes, the scaling and the dragons that Immortals have won't matter.
And off of that pick over in that bot side, FlyQuest able to draw a lot of attention towards mid, which means TUKI could openly usher that Rift Herald over on bot. That gold lead that they have had has been extending continuously despite some of the interruptions from Immortals. FlyQuest have accrued a lot of advantages from the side lanes and beyond. Lost Wild Growth subject in answer to the culling, but mostly right now to create some distance. TUKI sees Kenvi here.
On this mid turret, Kenvi goes stealth though.
Kenvi flashing forward for the play. TUKI marked down low. Power of Evil from the opposite flank. Johnson is also in dangerous territory, but they get the land onto Power of Evil. Alphamu making sure that he selects that target for sure.
Massive play there by JOSEDEODO to actually lock them down and then chain CC for the rest of the team. Trying to get a very quick reset in here because I really don't think they can give over this Cloud Drake to Immortals. Remember, it is a new patch where the dragon is a lot tankier.
Oh, okay. So Philip a bit low here. And yes, with it being a bit tankier, taking a bit longer to actually kill the dragon gives you a little additional time if you're trying to rotate towards it to deny it. But most of FlyQuest has already made their way through so that they can set up. There you go, and Revenge is right here in the front line as he's supposed to be. Has to dash out of it. FlyQuest continuing their domain over the river area right now. Power of Evil is coming from base 2. Doesn't have teleport to bring through. And Kenvi already chunked down. The jungler being in a dangerous spot is something that looks good for FlyQuest.
It's so hard for Immortals because they don't have mid or bot prio, so they're kind of trapped in the dragon pit right there, trying to fight their way out. But FlyQuest have all these retreat zones they can take to get out of this fight.
And they expel an ultimate just to lock down Philip, and the response from FlyQuest is we have some ults and more on our own, using the bubble to lock down. Lucian being very willing to throw out that culling just to get enough of an HP chunk onto Immortals, so that now FlyQuest, they can take this Drake. They can deny the soul stacking that Immortals was working towards. Just gives them a lot more of that rotational pressure.
Hello.
Philip here with Kenvi. Revenge is here as well, but Johnson making his rotation from the mid lane. They don't actually want to take any fighting here. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't a pick off. Yeah,
Philip definitely playing weak side because this is the area that they want to be able to control. Get that outer turret down and then start playing towards Baron. Step 1 complete. They got the outer turret. As you can see, Vi clearing vision out of the jungle, and they're even possibly looking for another second tier turret.
We've rooted temporarily, but able to get out of here. It's just now the arrival of Immortals, and it's always interesting to see the way that FlyQuest are
coming through, as we talked about, the death cap for LeBlanc. Let's see if we can get some one-shots. Immediately teleporting back in. Double TP.
Philip is here, ushering through onto Immortals in the vicinity of their jungle. Revenge, somewhat chunked, has to dash away, threw out the ultimate to disengage.
So less engaged now for Immortals if they want to try something. Definitely some thoughts on FlyQuest's side of going for this Baron. Their Baron damage is not that good, especially if Lucian is sat in the mid lane. Flank though. Oh, it's so difficult. Like, really watch Lost in these team fights.
Sending Revenge over towards the spot side as well to continue. He does have the teleport to be able to rejoin the team.
Oh, got the
tidal wave coming through, spin around. JOSEDEODO backs off. FlyQuest being very careful to not go for more than they need to.
Yeah, and they will likely get that top turret as well. Philip able to get some free time up there. Plus they got the Aphelios flash, which makes him easier pickings for the future fight.
Spread out, which is very dangerous for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Philip has actually played a pretty solid game in terms of his ability to get sideways in.
Whoa!
Oh, man.
Ignar has to self-ult after that one. That burst becoming very much a threat from FlyQuest after some of this itemization. They're going to continue going for it. TUKI is feeling very strong. Philip flashing away. The prison comes through. Charm on to Philip.
Oh.
Burn down on to Kenvi. Backline for JOSEDEODO gets in there with the ultimate. The wave knocks up a couple, and Revenge is the next to fall. Double kill for Johnson here. Look at that hit onto Lock. Look at that triple kill for Johnson. Power of Evil and Ignar on on the retreat from defeat in this.
They can win.
Quadra kill. Give him the penta! Johnson going in for a FlyQuest. The dub in the fight. The dub in the game.
Pentakill for Johnson, and because the minion wave is right there, FlyQuest is going to end this at 28 minutes.
Oh my lord! FlyQuest want to turn all the haters into believers, making their final stretch before playoffs. And some hits of the Nexus is one way to get the fans on their side. FlyQuest with the win.
Wow. What a way to end that game. I'm thinking, okay, how are they going to set up vision around Baron? How are they going to stop this Dragon